secret. I'm different than all of you, yeah. But that's what makes the world so beautiful, don't you think? I know some of you thought you were 6'3" and bald like me, but no, you can't have this, it's mine. So how did I come to appreciate my uniqueness and that of others? Who and what inspired me to be who I am today? See, it's all about our perspectives, and it's up to each one of us to find our best selves. I discovered my best self when I had surrounded myself with people, places, and things that were completely different and foreign than me. Because our differences are not our impossibilities, they're our possibilities. They're the one true thing that make our dreams possible. Now, as a kid, I was a giant, no joke. I was a foot taller than every other kid until 7th grade high school. And you would think this had some sort of superhero vibe to it. It didn't. It was very difficult growing up different as a young kid. I was terribly shy. I was awkward, to say the least, which was comical because coaches would always want me to be on their team because somehow my stature was going to be an advantage. No, I was like a Great Dane puppy playing with kittens. There was nothing graceful or advantageous to it at all. It's embarrassing. But at that point in my life, I saw it as a negative. Over time, those differences that were my perceived weaknesses became my slight advantages, which became my strengths. Because once I realized that those things that made me different weren't my limitations, they were my advantages, life took a magical shift. Now, we've all had those challenging situations in our life that transformed us in some way. At this point in my life, it was my height, my stature, my awkwardness. Still working on that one. But by the time I was 15, I started to grow into my body, finally. And I noticed something, that all the unpopular and smart kids wanted to hang out with me. And I realized it was because all the popular and mean kids wouldn't pick on them when I was around. And it wasn't that I was a mean or violent kid, I wasn't. I was the giant, gentle giant kid. But they knew if they did anything with my friends, I literally could pick up the little bodies and throw them several feet. Only happened once, but they knew I could. And that's when I realized there was a slight advantage to being the giant boy. People felt safe with me. Yeah. 7th grade finally comes around, and a kid I went to school with forever comes running up to me. Dayn, I'm finally taller than you. I hadn't realized it was a competition. But I was like, okay, here's the torch, run with that. Well, that hurdle was done, and I realized I needed another challenge because I was still very limited by my fears. And I was still terribly shy. So what was I going to do? How was I going to get past that? I asked my parents if I could be a foreign exchange student to Chile for a year. Yeah, you make that track. But at 15, it made perfect, logical sense. I was going to move to a foreign country, nobody knew me, and I was going to reinvent myself. Crazy thing is, it worked. When other kids were trying to fit in and be part of a clique, I was doing everything I could to stand out. And moving abroad was going to make me stand out. I was going to be thousands of miles away. I didn't know anybody. I didn't speak the language. I knew nothing about the culture. Fun stuff. But I knew that by going there and experiencing that, that was going to be my greatest challenge. And before I went to Chile, foreign exchange world taught me a very valuable lesson about the people, places, and things I was going to experience. They're not wrong. They're just different. Translation, learn to adapt or struggle, life. And I wanted to appreciate these things so deeply, I jumped in, donk, feet first. And I chose to do this, I did. And before I got there, I had not quite realized that the people in Chile are 5 feet, 8 on average. There I was, giant boy again. But this time, I was not going to miss out on my unobstructed views. My slight advantage had become my strength. You see, our differences are what make us stand out. They're what make us memorable. They're what make us unique. We treasure these qualities in supermodels and celebrities and the like, but we have a tendency to hide them away when they're qualities about ourselves. It's like there's something we don't want people to notice. Those people embrace their differences. They embrace their greatness, their uniqueness. They allowed those qualities to mold them into the characters they became and to whom we would admire. And they never gave into this illusion of sameness. Our differences have the ability to transform us for the better. It's all about our perspectives and how we decide we want to manifest the outcome. It's all up to us, ourselves, because it is in our differences where we find our greatness. And it's those little challenges that we deal with that push us forward. Yeah. I mean, look at me up here. I'm standing on a TEDx stage talking to all of you, and I'm the terrifyingly shy kid. Talk about throwing myself into a challenging situation. My fingernails are sweating up here. We all have the ability to inspire somebody on a daily basis. Everything we take for granted was once an idea or a dream of somebody else's. Maybe someone just inspired them. They said, yeah, that's different, run with it. Can you imagine if they gave into their fears? We wouldn't have cars, we wouldn't have planes, we wouldn't have plumbing, electricity, hair dryers. Can you imagine a world without hair dryers? I can't. Maybe that person's you. Maybe you're that person who inspires or is inspired to be the next great mind, singer, songwriter, or just nice person next door. But nobody said you could be. If we don't share our ideas and our differences, how do we inspire each other? If we don't challenge ourselves, we don't grow. We don't. Now that year in Chile transformed me in more positive ways than I can possibly ever explain. I speak another language because of it. I have friends all around the world still because of it. I got to experience a people, culture, and a pride that I would not have had I not simply stepped out of my comfort zone. That one move allowed me to appreciate how beautifully different other people, places, and things are. Was it terrifying? Yeah, life. But majority of the time it was exhilarating. And not to say that you have to go to such an extreme, but maybe little different things with different people. If you try it, you won't regret it. Look around this room. We're all different. And we're all on a journey of self-discovery. It's always right before us. My point, yeah, I have one. Life is handing us many opportunities to experience it. And I truly believe that it is in our differences that we find our greatness. We are the main characters of our own sitcom, after all. So if we're going to have to find a cast of characters to keep that show going from week to week, why not pick people who challenge us? It's a sitcom, after all. Actually, I take that back. It's also a rom-com drama horror film with a lot of glitter. But that's because nothing grows in sameness or stagnation. So many miss out on the fun and excitement of living because someone convinced them it was okay to just fit in. Ugh. Life is our greatest adventure, and I'm inviting all of you to experience it to its fullest, and maybe with someone who's completely different than you, that shows you just how uniquely beautiful you are, and to never give up on discovering yourself.